All right, so it could well be penguins. Sorry, it could well be little green men. Never little green women. They leave their little green women at home. Little green men overtaking Antarctica.
I didn't picture any aliens.
What?
No, because they're on alert for, so you probably wouldn't see them yet, but you think they're coming. So I pictured like stations set up and binoculars, but nothing seen.
Right. Okay. Oh, very good.
Yeah, think of green, because they're not actually there yet.
Okay, that's very good. Well, and let's just move away from our image for a sec. What's a synonym for aliens? Strangers.
Invaders, creatures.
Strangers, invaders, creatures. Different. Foreigners. So would anyone now like to modify the initial image they had of Antarctica on alert for alien invaders?
I'm seeing germs now.
Margaret sees germs. Effie? Anyone different? Someone said creatures. Viruses, pollution. We've changed it, haven't we? We've changed our image. It's still consistent, but we've changed our image. So you can see the power of having the image, and that's what this is about. It's along those lines. The invader is not necessarily little green men. Sorry, it's not little green men, but it's equally serious. Invaders coming in on people's clothes. And as the ice starts to melt, some of these things that couldn't have existed there before can exist there now. Now, you guys had some suggestions about the rider strategy, the PIDA strategy. I've suggested the PIDA strategy that is on about reading and paraphrasing a sentence, imagining what you read in your mind, describing it, and then checking it against the text and repeating it. But these brilliant people have modified it. Go on, do you guys want to say what you've modified it to?
Well, we thought PIDA should sound better as spider. So we just put say at the front, meaning read aloud before you paraphrase.
Isn't that fantastic?
So spider's easier to remember than PIDA. And then you could have a diagram with legs, maybe only 6 legs, not 8. Then you could say it's I don't know.
A crutched spider.
A broken leg spider.
Okay, but that's really good, isn't it? So speak.
Speak or say, could be anything.
Say the text aloud, paraphrase it, imagine it, describe it, evaluate it, and repeat it. And I reckon that's a really great way to go. Sorry? Well, they've said I can. They've said I can.
It's not copyright.
That's right. I reckon it's fantastic. Okay, now the next, that's the visualising strategy. When you're teaching the kids to visualise, when you're cueing them to visualise, you will need to give them time, as well as giving them the contents to make the images. They will need time to make the images. Some children will need some time initially to construct the images, and they will need time and support to put their images into sentences. So allowing them to draw their images, just draw rough diagrams, or use their hands in particular ways to do the actions. Those things will help the students put their ideas into sentences. But the more they can do this, the more they can do it, the better you're going to be building their literacy skills. In the next section, I've looked at helping the children identify the questions a particular sentence or a paragraph answers. And we were looking at that earlier today with that text, weren't we? Where we can pick out a sentence or 1 or 2 sentences and have the students say what question it answers. That really helps them organise the text, and it really helps them understand the text. So Let me just get this up on the computer because I'd just like to unpack some key aspects of this. The idea that I'm wanting to work on here is that as students read a text, if they're able to say what questions the sentences answer, they're going to be able to use the sentence, use the idea in the sentence more effectively later. And I think one or two people said when we're talking about asking the questions at the getting knowledge ready phase, the questions actually help you link ideas. They help you predict, think ahead, and to link ideas across the sentences. And it makes sense that if we had Effie and Rosalie and Shirley, going into an exam situation, and Shirley had her knowledge of the topic largely in imagery form, and Rosalie had her knowledge of the topic largely in a language form, and Effie had her knowledge in a language form, but as well had linked questions with her knowledge. Think of the three of them looking at the exam. We've talked about this before. Looking at the exam paper. Which one could best show their knowledge? Well, you see, Effie could. Because not only is her knowledge in a form that can match with the information, but as well there are questions to link. So this business of having the kids really identify the questions that the text answers is going to help them in multiple ways. Now, I remember the first time I asked a secondary class to suggest the question text answers. It happened to be I remember it very well, it happened to be a Year 10 science class, and they were studying Ohm's law. And you could almost see the children just wishing that they could sink into the floor, because it was so unusual an activity. Think again how often children are asked to do what we said before. What questions does this answer for me? What questions do I know the answer to now? And yet very quickly the kids got to running on it. They understood it. But initially it was really unusual. They were much more used to answering questions. If I'm wanting children to write an essay, isn't it important that they can think of the questions they want to answer in my mind as the reader? If they can think of what things they want to tell me, what do they want me to know, having read the essay, that will really give them focus. So I would really be pushing this whole question aspect. So this is really what we're on about here. The children learning how to identify the questions. And I think I've said at the beginning of your notes. Oh, sorry, no, I thought I had a diagram there, but I haven't. Now, how are we going to help them learn to do it? The children have the sentence there, and what questions would I ask to actually get this as an answer? So we look at, if we're starting off in a small way, from about 2500 BC, the mummies and treasures of important people, such as pharaohs, were usually entombed in pyramids. What question would I ask to get that as an answer? And it's really useful for, in a classroom situation, to have two people. One person who is going to read the sentence, and someone else will ask the question. So anyone in the class can suggest what question it might answer. And so one person says a question, like Rosalie says a question, Effie reads the answer, and we can say, do they match? Do they match? And if they don't match, then we need to modify it a bit. So if we were to take, go on, Rob.